Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to our ASM review show. Man, you guys have been expecting this one. You're excited for this one. I've got chat going on before we're in the room. So I'm glad that you guys are showing up. You're anxious to talk these two issues. And so let's introduce the panel. We have JR. JR, you're sipping out of a new cup. What kind of cup is it?
Oh, wow. I tell you, before the United States Postal Service decided to go into a prolonged delay and lockdown of service, if you've been reading the news, I received this delectable little goodie in the mail. It is a Crawl Space coffee mug, which I'm drinking Mountain Dew out of currently. One, because
that's what you're supposed to do in it. Yeah,
that's what I do during the show, and two, I don't do coffee on the weekends because I do a lot of frantic coffee drinking during the weekdays. So anyway, so I just,
well, that's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome.
If you're a Patreon members get those shipped out to them. So I don't have one of those yet. That's kind of cool.
I just feel very special.
Yeah. Speaking of someone special, George, what's going on?
I'm drinking out of a Spider-Man tumbler.
Oh, let me see it.
It's red like Spider-Man.
Oh, I thought you.
No, it's a Texas tumbler.
Oh, there you go. I have a Spider-Man cup. Look at little McFarlane on it.
That looks like the old one you had.
Well, it's. Did I already show that one off? I guess.
So heads up, you animals.
Whoa.
My mother is in the audience tonight watching on YouTube. That's why I'm buttoning up and trying to look presentable.
Yeah.
So
cool.
So no swear.
Your mom's on.
No swear words.
You're a little bit on your better behavior, which is nice. Mom should be on more often.
Oh yeah. I mean, So no swear words. JR, watch that salty. Watch that saltiness that you slip into every now and then.
But it's not my mother,
It's our
besides,
mother.
I wouldn't be clean for her anyway.
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Wow.
Let's keep introducing the panel. We have Kelly. What's going on, Kelly?
Hi.
Any family members watching Kelly for you?
Kelly, you look eerily like this picture of Spider-Girl I just saw.
I know,
yeah,
right?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Very strange. It's very, very strange.
That was so cool.
I am very humbled and honored by that wonderful drawing by Mr. Friends.
That was very cool.
Yeah, it was so cool. Mr. Ron Friends, one of our friends of the show, did a little sketch and Spider-Girl, and Kelly looks exactly like the inspiration for the Mayday.
I would ask Ron Friends to draw me, but I'm pretty sure he would just redraw that fat octopus kid from him that Falco's Run. Remember what was his name? Emil? No. What was his name?
JR, help me. Ollie.
Yeah, pretty sure we just draw Ollie.
Well, we just talked about him during. No, wait a minute. We will talk about him. Wait a minute. When did we? No, we will talk about him in November.
Hell no.
Spider history.
We record Spider history up until December.
Senility is a hell of a drug.
We also have Neil. What's going on, Neil? You paid $10 for this as your caption.
Yeah, so I know
the one that has to break it down.
I know the recurring theme has been what cups we're wearing, so I'm not even going to try. This isn't Spider-Man themed at all. It's just it's a Soda Stream bottle.
It's just
I just drink water out of.
It's generic hipster water.
Do they?
It's just water. I just get it from my bathroom sink.
I was gonna say, do those homemade soda machines taste good?
Yeah, they're okay. Every once in a while, they're okay, but I wouldn't.
That's
drink
not a rousing endorsement.
It's impacted because when I used to work at Staples, we sold the carbon tubes for those things.
Okay,
and I hated them because everyone would ask about them, and as an effect, I started to hate them the more I hated the customer.
I noticed that's a theme. The longer you work at some place, the more you hate the product that you're selling. Often that seems to be the case.
Or the people.
Or the people.
Yeah, it's to me it's the people. I worked at I managed a coffee shop and I love coffee.
But the people killed
that come in. I can't have a frappuccino anymore, like one of the fraps, because of the type of people that order them. I can't do it. I don't want to be like them.
I worked Best Buy Electronics, and I worked electronics at Sears, like home, like TVs, VCRs, stuff like that. But I didn't hate the electronics. I just didn't like the people I had to work with.
Funny. Someone we do like is Chi-Town. What's going on, Chi-Town?
Hey, everyone. Can you all hear me good?
You sound good. You sound good.
All right,
man.
great. So we're on our best behavior because George's mother is here.
That's right.
Okay.
And so we also have to be on our best behavior because Peter here, Spider-Man. But since we're going to be talking about Ben, I thought I'd bring a more cute, adorable thing. So hold on one second here.
JR never made such a conviction. So
Oh, what's up, Ben?
Hello.
Oh, full screen. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Can you give us a thwip? Can you thwip?
Can you do like Spider-Man, with your hand?
I think we're scaring him.
I know.
Oh, there's a thwip. Good job, buddy.
Oh, good job.
Do you want to hear a Green Goblin laugh?
No, you'll spare the child.
Why would you do that, Neil?
Hi.
Hi, buddy. Hi.
Oh,
What's your
that's
favorite
scary.
Spider-Man?
That's a scary goblin laugh.
What's your favorite Spider-Man?
Peter
Reilly.
and
You like Peter?
Ghost Spider.
Ghost
Gwen.
Spider. Is that the one with the skull that's on
No,
fire?
that's
Is that
Gwen.
him?
It's
There you
Gwen.
go, guys.
I blame the
Ghost
parent.
Spider. Oh, okay, Spider Gwen. Okay.
See you later, buddy.
George
See ya, Ben.
Bye,
George
Ben.
blames Disney Jr.
Oh my gosh! Look at this.
I
Adam
got it.
says the next generation of Crawl Space podcast right here.
Yeah.
How come mine are no longer cute? That's what I don't know what happened to mine, but
Your
they're
genetics.
no longer
I'm just
cute. Like that.
Wow.
I'm so sorry.
Oh God, George.
Wow.
I didn't mean
George
to hit you
is
that hard.
seething right now. His mom is listening, and he's like, "What is wrong with you?"
Even I'm not that brutal. And I mean, I'm an a-hole.
I am. The future is now, old man.
Wow.
Oh, I'm so sorry, JR. Are you okay? Take another sip of Mountain Dew from your Crawl Space.
Yeah, I was about to
He's
say,
gonna throw it at his computer.
I mean,
All right.
mine talks back
What's
and
my
everything.
mom gonna say when I log
Oh
off?
my gosh! All right, let me get through the chat real quick.
Wait. I think I'm the only person that's had his mom watch the show.
No, my mom has.
Your mom? Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
My mom's downstairs, so technically she's watching it.
My mom
she's-
signed the guest
she's
book
involved.
of the Crawl Space back in '98.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
so if your
I
mom's
refuse
down-
to let my mom watch you guys. Just saying. Sorry.
What'd Kelly say? I missed it.
Oh, I'm just saying. My mom has asked, and I have refused to let her watch.
That's fair. That's fair.
I agree that is fair, actually.
Wait a minute, Neil. If Neil's mom is downstairs, does that mean that instead of living in his mother's basement, he's living in her attic?
Sure.
Yeah, there you go.
No
let's
wrong with
see.
that.
We got B Rich in Kansas City saying hello. We got Hornacek in Canada. Gary in the Frozen saying hello. Mary, what's going on? Can't wait to hear JR tear this one apart.
What makes you think I'm going to do that?
It's you.
What makes you think I'm going to do that?
Red Squadron, sound off. Give your location.
I'm glad to be here for what could be George's last appearance. Oh no, I don't know.
Hornacek is psychic, I think.
When JR turns in his grades F, 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 and F.
Fred, and Freddie.
Adam's in Los Angeles watching. George left in the late 190s in the podcast. He will be back again. He's just like Chucky. He'll be back. He always comes back. I'm mixing
Wait a minute. If
Chucky and
Hornacek is from
Spider-Man.
the east coast of Canada, shouldn't that be like Quebec? Shouldn't he speak in French or something?
I thought that was the West.
Adam says
No,
JR
no,
has
Quebec
a
is in,
cup full
Quebec
of
is in the east.
goblin
It's just
syrup.
No. I thought like in the West is where they spoke French. I don't know Canada. It's
No.
it's like the state I know least about.
Well, no, George. Quebec is on the northeastern
hello?
tip of Canada.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Comic says, hi, Ma Webb. There you go. Aw.
That is literally what my friends called her because
Ma
her
Webb.
last name is legitimately Webb.
Yes, no doubt.
Yeah, I
We
think
got-
I said that on the
We
show.
got Chris going on, watching us. What's going on, man?
Hey, Chris.
Ali Osnick, that's the last name.
Mhm.
All the hipsters drink from the bathroom sink, Neil, is what Adam
Yeah.
says.
Or the
Really?
toilet.
Oh, why not? Oh, here we go. Thank you for the super chat, Vinkman. I'll bite and ask the obvious question. Kelly, how was your vacation? You did some cool Halloween stuff, I saw.
I did. Yeah, it was great. Unfortunately, thanks to a Windows 10 update, they had some problems with some projectors, including
No.
Spider-Man. So I think we wrote it 6 or 7 times, and 3 of those times I had to leave. because the projectors were dying and they needed to be reset. I heard a little rumor that apparently they're not allowed to get new projectors, which I think is a travesty, and they should, because the ride should stay around forever.
Yeah, no doubt. I need to ride it once. I've never ridden it. I always wanted to.
I wish I had the conviction to go on any ride 6 or 7 times in one vacation.
Well, I picked the weekday for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
That way the wait time was maybe 10-15 minutes tops on like the super big brand new rides. So Spider-Man was pretty much a walk-on the entire time.
I don't know if that's a good thing. Does that mean he's not as popular?
Well, so it still averages about a 40-minute time frame, like on a busy day. So that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just like nobody was in the park because it was a weekday during September.
Yeah.
40 minutes for Iron Man Jr.?
No.
This is
the Universal ride. I didn't.
Oh,
go to
Universal.
Disneyland.
Okay. My bad.
Wow.
I was
went
like,
down
wow.
to Florida. No. We don't talk about Iron Man Jr. here because that just makes me mad, because apparently that's the whole situation, is that it sounds like since Marvel has the Disney has the purse strings for Marvel, something has to be signed off on if they do any kind of renovation, and nobody wants to even do the necessary renovation to install new projectors.
Well, they don't want when Marvel telling them what they need to change. In that case, I guess, right, Kelly?
Well, no, it's basically they have to sign off, and that's essentially, it sounds like Disney is being petty.
They want it to die. That's awful.
Disney,
That's awful.
Because it is literally the better ride. It is.
It is.
Literally the better ride.
Unironically.
Hornacek says, the more you work at a place, the more you hate the product of other people. Is it true for the podcast? No
comment.
Neil.
Hey, Brad, real quick. I just realized, looking at myself from this angle, I look like Stephen Amell's, the Green Arrow. I look like his older, fatter brother, less attractive brother.
I was thinking.
I can see it.
No, I'm just kidding. I was not thinking the same thing. Let's see.
So like, if George's mom is on here, can she tell us like little cuddly stories of when George was, young and
in
like
chat?
No, because she's watching probably on her iPad, and probably just have it like full screen. She's probably just watching it. She's probably not mastered the art of chat yet.
Don't second guess your mother. She might be able to say some.
I'm saying that now, and then we're about to.
We're about to learn.
George is tempting fate right now. He's like,
all right.
I bought her lunch today. We went and had Mexican.
Well, that doesn't mean she's not going to say childhood memories about.
You can't kill somebody when they bought you Mexican.
What?
For lunch.
Who mentioned killing? You start.
Because listen, you don't know my mom. My mom will take me out, dude. I mean,
also it depends on
she
the
brought you in.
food.
That's what she says. I brought you in. I'll take you out, and she means it.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
She joins the CIA to take out George.
Be rich. I love everyone, even JR. Okay, thank you.
That seems like qualified praise.
We've got 2 issues we're going to tackle. They are really anxious to hear our thoughts on 875. And which cover did y'all get? I got the Friends and our good friend Ron Friends right here. Good looking cover. And I was so excited for the issue, I bought a second one.
Oh my God.
Christ, Jesus, what the hell is
$20 come out.
You are fueling the fire, Douglas.
You are the toilet paper you'll ever buy.
Here's the thing. I wanted the Vicentini cover, but my store was having trouble not getting a hold of it. But I didn't want them to have more logistical hurdles to get another cover. So I'm like, just give me the Gleason one. The Gleason one's good. So
I pre-order my books, and this one arrived at the end of the month. I had to get this one on release date because I was excited to read it.
You are part of the problem, Douglas.
Yep.
Legit, you are.
I would agree.
Are. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Comics bought 3 covers. He's out.
Oh my God!
Oh, wow.
Christ.
All right, so this is the book, and Kelly, you've got this one. So
all right,
you've got a huge book to review.
Night of 1,000 artists.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Two writers, 8 pencilists, 7 inkers, 2 colors. You asked for this,
Lord.
Yep.
All
right. So we basically start with a page, with the page from Spec 200, where Harry dies, And then we get a new updated thing, I guess, of what happens, or this is a dream. I'm not 100% sure on this. There's some confusion already, but Harry wakes up. He thinks he's in a bad dream, but as he walks towards a glowing door, he finds Mephisto and learns that he's in hell. They talk, and Harry asks if Mephisto was behind his cursed life, which Mephisto tells him it was never about him. We cut to Peter in present day being chased by Kindred, and we kind of keep cutting in from where this is present day, but it's also the discussion Mephisto had with Harry. That just shows Norman running, Mary Jane jumping into this void window thing away from Sarah, as Mephisto says that all the players in the game are going to the same place. MJ finds Peter, as does Norman, who tries to tell Peter that there are two Kindreds. Meanwhile, at the Hotel Inferno, Mephisto and Strange resume their game. Strange is reminded that if he loses, he also loses his soul to Mephisto as well. Carly and Harry talk about how he must be a clone and says the best line in this whole issue, which is, why is it always clones with us?
True.
Because fair, same. So the Kindred twins are basically throwing Peter into the wall and pummel him. Clone Harry we cut back to Clone Harry, who is screaming like people can hear him about where he's going or how he's going to go to his family, and then opens a door with Carly, and now where they've gone from the jail to the morgue, now they're in Liz's home. And
how's that work? Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's some weird situations going on here. But anyway, so he checks
on down there or something.
Yeah. So he checks on Liz, then checks on Normie. Again, no mention of Stanley whatsoever.
Yeah.
Good.
Where is the baby? What happened? So anyway,
international waters.
I guess.
Well, he degenerated if he's part clone.
I mean, that's true. That's possible.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, but why are they forgetting about him?
Because he's
Anyway,
he's forgettable.
Anyway, Harry goes to his closet where he's keeping. I don't know why I wrote the goblin goods, but there y'all go.
Is he going into the closet or is he coming out of the closet?
No, he comes out on a glider.
Can't tell you. But instead of getting into his goblin garb, he decides he needs to go to his family as himself. And that's where looks crazy on the glider. Meanwhile, at the Osborne Manor, Norman holds MJ back, saying that this is Peter's fight and there's nothing that they can do to help. Which, all right. The twins really let Peter have it, but before giving the final blow, someone screams no and throws a pumpkin bomb. It's clearly Harry. Peter asks if it's really him, and he says it is, but he did also admit that he was a clone earlier, so I'm a little confused now. Anyway, they work together and beat down the twins and to end things once and for all. Norman keeps saying how this is all his fault, how he's the source of Harry's pain, and we see that Harry, like, when Harry gets touched by one of the Kindred tentacle things, he sees like a military of Norman Mephisto hybrids, which, that is a real nightmare. So that's I
think I see JR back here. No,
he's the one with the swords.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Never like you, Neil. Never.
All right,
join the club.
Feelings mutual. Future now.
Take a number.
All right, Norman. Norman tells MJ how he sold Harry's soul to Mephisto, and now they'll face the truth together and all burn together. Which there is a reaction. I don't know if you have the panel in front of you, but there is a great reaction by MJ that, she's just like.
Here, let me.
You did what?
She's like,
is it this one?
That one.
It's like, actually.
I have no dialogue bubble, yet I must scream.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Well, my thing is like, he's sitting there telling her, even though they don't understand the other parts of this Mephisto plan. So Norman just thinks that, like, because he sold Harry's soul, now Peter and MJ should also face this truth together and then also burn together, because that doesn't
Look at that face.
Narcissist much? Yeah, it's very. I don't like this version of Norman. This bugs me.
It looks like there's a Batman symbol coming through his forehead. Do you see the Batman
kind of
symbol?
Yeah.
Am I seeing
I see
things?
it. Yeah, it's like
Rorschach
the boat.
test.
Yeah.
Was that picture just us when we read this issue? Now we all burned together.
No, it's the very last one you're talking about with the oven.
Me reading
Wait till we get there.
Right
Yeah. All right. So Strange, back in Hotel Inferno, Strange is planning to release Harry's soul, and the back of the manor, Peter starts talking about how this is another clone thing, and he's also exasperated by it. So I love the full thread of how much everyone is tired
of clones.
Of clones. And Harry says that Peter doesn't really even know the half of it when it comes to clones. And I wrote, why does this feel foreshadowy?
True.
One of the twins starts going after Harry, calling him an imposter, as Harry starts coming clean about the Stacy twins' true origins. The twins obviously have a hard time accepting this too, and have a clear animosity towards the Harry clone. Norman asks them to stop and direct their anger at him, as it is all his fault. I wrote that in quotations. Mm-hmm. So when the twins oblige, the twins basically are about to oblige, but before they can do anything to Norman, he kind of goes all in about how he failed as a father and tells the twins again their true origins, on how they're basically just clones. Mm-hmm. And it was Harry's AI was under the influence of Mephisto. And, really the twins just don't want to hear this crap. So they call him a liar and start to bite him. I guess they're zombie clones now. Like, literally one of them looks like they're biting his arm.
Oh, yeah.
They literally, one of them is biting his arm.
Yeah, just like punching down on him, yeah.
They do bite it. It says chomp right there on the...
Yeah, it does. They're zombie clones now. This exists.
Oh, there it is. Okay, got it. Found it. Look at that chomp.
Crunch.
Crunch.
No,
sorry.
Crunch. Is that like an Anamana thing?
Yeah, it is.
Guys, Skeletor's hunger for meat is increasing. We must kill him.
All right. Harry and Peter decide.
Here, real quick, Vinkman, thank you for the super chat. Clones. Why did it have to be clones? Truth, Vinkman. Truth.
Right. Yeah. So Harry and Peter decide that they need to save Norman from being eaten by the Stacy twin clones, and so they start fighting. The twins use Gwen as a crutch to try and convince them to let them kill Norman. It doesn't work. And then as Harry tells his father to run, and Norman is more than willing to agree, the twins finally get to him. But before the Kindreds can kill Norman, Harry jumps in to save his father and gets a centipede arm thing right in the chest.
Yeah.
Peter screams for Harry and rushes to him, holding him, as this Harry, who is a clone, as we know from the earlier issue, or earlier in this issue, dies. Peter cries, and I believe it's Sarah under the Kindred garb, who basically does not understand why Peter would cry over a clone. Peter then gets mad and says that he needs to get back. I knew someone was going to say that.
Give me my $10 back.
Yeah. That's why he's crying. He spent $10.
Yeah, just for this. All right. So then we cut back to Hotel Inferno, where apparently this is the game that Stephen and Mephisto are playing. Stephen claims that Mephisto is using the twins is cheating, and Mephisto talks about how he gives them purpose, as the twins haven't had the best life, and all they really want is revenge on Norman, who, like most readers, just wants to forget them. Peter and the twins keep going at it. Yeah. See, that was a joke, but because that was just too real, we're just sad.
Yeah, I'm like, preach.
So Peter and the twins keep going at it. And Peter gets really fed up with everything going on and says he isn't going to let them keep messing with him anymore. He's had it. He's done. They keep fighting, and the Stacy twins then call Peter an Osborn apologist and throws Peter into the floor that collapses. Mephisto narrates the scene, and we see that Peter can't quite get up like he normally can muster the strength to, probably because of everything he's been through in the last 24 hours in this game. Stephen reminds Mephisto that they are allowed 2 champions, and his second champion was never Harry Osborn. Mary Jane comes through the rubble to help pull Peter out. As Peter warns MJ about the twins, they see that they are kind of, even though they've got all the Kindred stuff on, they look much older and weaker. And they tell Peter that he's won and that they've failed Mephisto and collapse due to their rapid aging. Sarah lies on the ground, dying, and asks Peter if, since they're not real, they weren't really real and they were clones, was true. And if, it's true that they never had a real mother. Peter tells her that if they needed it, Gwen would have loved them as her children all the same.
I don't think so.
Well, I think she would give love to them. However, this is still a very idolized version of dead Gwen here.
What's up with purple Spider-Man hair?
It's the weird shading.
Yeah, it's like lighting.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the pros and cons, I'm sure. So Norman now runs to his son's body, crying about how he was the child that he always really wanted, but once again, this is too little, too late. Peter collapses on MJ, letting his emotions finally catch up with him. At Hotel Inferno, Stephen asks Mephisto, why does he have this infatuation interest in Peter Parker? Mephisto explains that the house always wins because they arrange the game. When he interferes with a life, he sees all of their destinies as he knows his. The world he knows awaits for him, and he can see the one who will end it. We see at first this vision is Peter. So Mephisto likes to meddle to mitigate his risk in losing his destiny. Mephisto tries to finish the conversation, but Stephen knows the devil is lying. Stephen was never just attacking Peter Parker. He always goes after he doesn't go after just one person. He goes after something greater. Mephisto then says that no one can ever really tell what the future holds, something that I think everyone should remember in this issue as we start our discussion on this, that no one knows what the future holds, not even Mephisto. And we see the vision of new Avengers that are definitely not a next, and a Spider-Girl that looks a lot like our 982 Mayday, with maybe red hair, but of course, since this is a dream vision world, everything is kind of red to begin with, so we can't really tell her true hair color.
And the art's not that great.
And I don't think we were. Again, this is a dream. This is Mephisto's vision.
I'm pretty sure I know the future, and that it's just continued stringing readers along in unsatisfying conclusions for days.
Right.
For varying
well, why can't they tell that?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Mephisto then reminds Stephen that, hey, look, you won. You freed Harry's soul. Nothing of any importance was really lost along the way. And he feels like it's, anything at least worth mentioning. Stephen realizes that maybe Mephisto's arrogance will be his downfall, as if his subjects endure and become stronger, they can finally overcome and see the light of a new day. We see MJ helps Peter basically walk on out of that chaos, get on a plane, and she lets him stay with her since, as we know, he doesn't really have an apartment anymore. So as we see Peter wake MJ up and swing around New York City with her, and then they have a lovely kiss. I think it's very reminiscent of that first issue with Spencer that we saw, even though the art is not the same. And that is the end of this story for now.
Neil already uses that panel of Peter as a meme.
He's eating her face.
Yeah. What do you think of this meme here?
That's Nick Spencer telling us, look, this is what we have to go through.
So you guys remember that Satellites episode where I was wondering whether or not I left the oven on at my dad's house and I had to drive back home? This was kind of that face I had like the minute before. I'm like, oh god, I need to go.
All right, so
that was the main story, I believe.
Here, let's go.
I
think we should grade the main story, and then we can talk about the back. So Kelly,
all right,
what's your grade on that one?
My grade, B+.
B as in boy?
B as in boy.
Okay, Neil.
So before I give my grade, I'm gonna give kind of a reference that George and J.R. will get. So imagine for a minute, if you will, Dale Earnhardt, famed NASCAR driver. He's at the Talladega 500, and on the last lap, he thinks, you know what, I'm gonna give some smoke a little early, give him a show, and then his tires blow out and he careens into the wall and dies. That's kind of how this issue was. I'm giving it a C-.
Okay, Peter.
I get that reference.
Actually, that too.
I got the reference too. I like how Neil assumes that JR and I are like huge NASCAR fans. Or something.
Yeah.
No, you seem like the kind of people who would get that kind of thing.
I can see
Wow.
JR.
Wow.
I got it, but I'm not a NASCAR fan. But
Wow.
obviously, you're certainly implying something about George and My's intelligence and
What?
Neil, I can't believe how inappropriate you're being right now.
I know it's so.
Peter is even looking at you, Neil.
I mean,
This should just be the crawl space Discord picture now.
Yeah, that panel right there.
We're distracting from Peter giving his grade.
Yes, Peter is great. We have
It's not uncommon though. It's a B- from me.
Did you say B+, Kelly?
No, B-.
Yeah, I said B+. He said B-.
And Neil, what was yours again? C-?
Yeah.
Okay, George.
F.
Ooh.
The only F I think George has ever given.
No,
I
think I've given a D before, and it was one of those things
Spencer grade ever.
where I don't. Well, as we'll talk about, I don't attribute it to
Spencer.
Spencer.
The cons. Wow.
This isn't on Spencer.
I don't think.
Chris.
Yeah.
I love this Christos Gage book. I really do enjoy it.
D-.
That's fine. D-. All right.
D-.
There we go.
Ooh.
Right.
Wasn't personally offended. I save F's for being personally offended.
Yeah.
But it was pretty damn close.
I was personally
I'm more in the Neil camp. I'll go C- also. F because I'm not $20.
Okay, Brad.
That's on me. I give myself
you.
an F.
That's
I give
on
myself an F.
Marvel has done a lot that is wrong here, but the $20 that you're out is
that's
on
my
you.
response.
You chose
I'm talking
this.
about a character
You chose
with responsibility. I'm responsible for the $20 on it.
Yep.
That's true. Okay, Kelly, let's hear your pros. What'd you like?
So, okay, I kind of have a little rant on this. I
think everyone does.
Yeah.
Oh,
so.
Mm-hmm.
The story is kind of like it's written like it's a big epic. We do get some conclusion, real conclusion with the Stacy twins. We see, the best that I think we could ever expect about ending Brand New Day, because again, Marvel is still going to have final say, and they're not going to admit that that was the biggest comic mistake that they've made in the last 30 years. So, at least there's something like that. I think that we're given some motivation as to why Mephisto is there, but it's flimsy. I overall enjoyed the conclusion of the story, knowing that it had to wrap up very quickly as Spencer was leaving. But I do think, because everybody I know is going, I'm sure saying, oh, but the pro has got to be Mayday being in here in one panel. But I don't think everyone fully understands what that means, because the amount of people that I've had come to me going, oh my God, this looks like Nick Spencer is trying to do a Spider-Girl thing. Oh my goodness, it means Mayday is the actual future of the 616.
Yeah.
That's not it here. Her future, let's be fair here. May, as we know her, was killed as a baby in the 616, although I guess maybe this new Norman could pull a 7-year-old out of somewhere in Europe. I don't know.
How creepy would that be?
That would be very creepy.
And that still wouldn't be the creepiest thing he's done.
It's not. That's true. However, all I'm saying is that, as we know it, she's dead. She was killed on international waters by Norman in 1996. Deal with it. The thing is we're not getting a new Mayday. We're not getting this set future for the 616. We can't, because that would then, if we had a set future on something, there would be no way for anybody to fully be creative, and eventually the series would then have to end.
Yeah. So
let's not put that on there. I just feel like a lot of people saw her in that panel, like Bleeding Cool did, and said, oh, 1 + 1 = 11. And that's not the case. She represents a possible future that Mephisto was scared of and had a fear for. He literally is terrorized. His nightmares are a spider child.
They put
That's
it in.
Literally it.
They put it in there so that people would get excited about it and start to wonder about it, when all they're going to do with it is jack shit. True. They're going to do nothing about it. Even if they'll make you think they will at one point, they're just going to drag it out and give you another unsatisfying conclusion.
Yes.
Marvel does not respect you as a reader.
Well, yeah. Well,
I'll give you that.
They care about money. They care about the fact Brad spent $20
on a single issue.
Goddamn, Jomo.
But I mean, that's kind of my thing. It's like the thing is she's in that vision to show you like this is literally his fear, is all of the future and hope that she represents for U.S. fans. That's why they drew her instead of like Annie or or J.J. Abrams. Man, the reason she's drawn there is to represent that part of the fandom, like, or that basically the parts where we wanted them to be married and have kids.
It represents the part of fandom that Marvel hates.
Yeah. And honestly, let's be fair. It feels like Mephisto is kind of a stand-in for Marvel editorial here.
Yeah. We were some of us were saying that at One More Day, and Brad told us to stop because some of us were calling it out and saying Joe Quesada or Mephisto was basically a metaphor for Joe Quesada.
But why don't necessarily? And see, here's my thing. I don't necessarily think he's meant to be one person, but I feel like he is meant to represent kind of the fact, because what I saw in this, and maybe it's, at least the parts that I feel like maybe did come from Spencer.
Yeah.
And they could have even came from Christos Gage. But what it felt like was they are trying their best to undo Brand New Day. And technically they succeeded. However, it was never going to be the ending that we wanted, because this is still Mephisto's house. And he's still going to mitigate and do anything he needs to get the future he wants, which is very much saying like editorial will tell them no. The things that you want to see as fans, the writers, I'm sure, would love to write that for you, but that might not always be what's going to be on paper at the end of the day.
I think most everyone would agree that we wanted the Mephisto not to win after One More Day. And that's what we were wanting a lot. Some were wanting as much the marriage to be restored. However, at the end of this story, did Mephisto still not win? I mean, Spider-Man didn't even know he was fighting Mephisto, technically, I don't think.
No, he never did. That's the whole point, is Mephisto, this is still his house.
He wasn't fighting Mephisto in a way. This whole thing centered around Harry. Remember, it was about Peter Parker's soul until it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was Peter Parker's soul until Nick Spencer went to Substack, and then they replaced.
And then editorial decided, no, it's about Harry.
It's about Harry. And who else got a Spider-Man 3 vibe? All right, Harry, let's go get the bad guys. Let's team up. I got the whole Spider-Man 3 vibe.
We didn't get a pumpkin bomb at the end.
Harry and Norman's face changes 5 times, if not more, in each issue. There's even one where Norman's face literally changes every single panel.
Yeah.
Was that 72?
I don't know. Like it's in this issue. It's really bad.
Enigma,
okay. I was thinking of ASM 72.
Quesada is laughing right now. I don't know if he's laughing. I mean,
that's weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. I don't know.
That was a weird comment to put up.
This was
it was a super chat.
This was as Quesada used to say, one of his little reality slaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sitting here blaming Cascada because he had nothing to do with this issue.
I don't know. I don't know that, Kelly. I don't know that he didn't have something to do with this issue.
I mean, he started it, but I don't think he finished it.
I don't know that. I feel like
he's not over editorial anymore. Now,
he's over editorial. I mean, he's still like the chief creative director or whatever.
Isn't that Kevin Feige?
No, Kevin Feige is for the movies. For what I believed was that Joe had moved over to the cartoons, and that's where he was creative director, was the animation field, not the comics anymore.
I am convinced, and no one will change my mind, that Quesada and Brevoort talk somebody out of letting the original ending get through, and to swerve it at the end, and that's what they did. No one will ever convince me otherwise. And all the evidence I need is right there when we pivoted from Peter Parker's soul inexplicably to Harry Osborn's soul.
Yeah,
it really did. Go ahead, Kelly.
No, it felt like whiplash. It was very confusing.
Yes, it really didn't even read like Spencer's writing, honestly.
Yeah, I mentioned this on a different show I was on, but this book feels like it was written by not even like another person, but like a department, like a we have like the Beyond board as the leaders for Beyond. It kind of feels like they kind of parked like a group of writers together and said, okay, here's Spencer's notes. Find and replace all the words that say "one more day" with Harry Osborn's soul. Make it work. You have 10 days to send it to Art. And I don't think that's exactly how it happened, but I think that's how it happened in spirit.
Well, I still think Spencer had a touch on this, but like I said, I do think there was definitely working as a team to make everybody happy, so it got published on time.
And nobody was happy.
Lots of cooks in the kitchen, and the dish tasted like crap.
This is why brain trusts also don't work.
Yeah. Well, What? How many months ago was it? Around Christmas when Mephisto and Strange showed up?
February.
And Strange said, "What about Peter Parker's soul? What does this story have to do with Peter Parker's soul?"
Nothing.
So real quick, in the last, like in the letters page, not the letters page, but like the end of Spencer of the main issue, there's a little letter that Nick Lowe writes.
Yeah.
And
the one where he.
Can I get through this?
Yeah.
I think it was either here or in ASM 75 where they mentioned that like they'd been assembling this Beyond board / Brain Trust / Webheads 2.0 Electric Boogaloo since like December of 2020 when like Last Remains was coming out. So I'm convinced that like this has been in the works. Like ASM 60 was kind of on the printing press ready to go, and at some point either Spencer left on his own volition, or he left, or he got pushed out, and they're using Beyond as like a stopgap to find their new main writer, whether it be one of the Beyond board or like one of their other writers who's down a project.
I think that Spencer really wanted.
What's that sound?
That's Neil's chair.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you had some.
Really, Neil? Just want to come on.
That's what you get. That's what you get for speaking up.
Sorry, I keep my mouth shut. But I think Spencer really wanted Peter to propose to Mary Jane in this issue. I think that's what he wanted. Whether the marriage was going to be intact or not, he still wanted that to happen. And Marvel had it. The mandate got in the way.
I agree with
Spencer left.
Jeffrey has a good point. It felt like Nick Lowe was dissing Spencer a little bit by just giving him one paragraph.
That was kind of what I thought. He mentioned it at the very end, and then like, oh, by the way, thanks for putting in 3 years. You know, it's like
here's your 2 weeks note. Here's your 2 weeks notice.
Yeah, it didn't sound like there's any love lost there.
Yeah, you know? I also feel too though. It's entirely, and obviously we'll never know until. So this is pure speculation. So
Spencer's got to talk sometime.
Yeah, but it really does feel like it's possible Spencer left because he couldn't get his story out.
Yeah, that's right.
That must be heartbreaking because
he left because Substack wrote him a big ass check. That's why he left.
But think about it. If he really, basically the thing is it could have just been perfect time, perfect place because he was already getting frustrated by not being able to tell exactly the story he wants to tell.
Well, I don't know if that's the case then. I mean, they kept letting him set up the story he wanted to tell.
They just wouldn't let him pull the trigger at the end.
A couple of years, and then at the end, either he was gone and they brought in, Gage to finish it out, and that's how they ended it up, But I mean, it feels like it kind of feels like Spencer wasn't even involved with this issue, and I damn sure don't think this was the ending that Spencer had planned.
Yep.
George, what do you think the ending he had planned?
I think Side Town Spidey right. I think at the end of it they were supposed to propose, and maybe that's how they were going to defeat Mephisto.
Yeah.
Now instead,
by putting a ring on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead, we got strung along.
Yes.
We got teased. That's putting it mildly. And in the end result, it was like Marvel. It's like Lucy and Charlie Brown with the football.
Oh, very true.
And that was my snapping point. Now, as a fan, I was like, I haven't liked a lot of what you've done for 20 years. You have made horrible changes. You have been terrible stewards of this character. So for you to tease continuously, for what, over 2 years. or almost 2 years, that you were going to address this and finally have it done. That's where all the momentum was. That's where all the behind the scenes marketing was. One more day is getting thrown out here. We're about to get resolved. To do this at the end of all this is not only unsatisfying, it's a betrayal.
Yeah.
And it's what I said earlier about how Marvel does not respect its readers. All they want you to, they see you as fat wallets to open up whenever they put out crap variants.
Yeah.
Like, somebody on the podcast who bought two. And they know
it's not a crap variant. It's Ron Friends.
Well, yeah.
No. I'm not talking about Friends specifically. I'm talking about just what they expect you to buy variants. Period. Doesn't matter what it is.
True.
They once did a series of Rhino variants where it was just different degrees of his horn coming through a goddamn wall. That's true. I mean, they did. They did.
It's absolutely true. It was disgusting.
They did, and people were stupid enough. And I'm sorry, I don't want to insult anybody, but people were stupid enough to buy it.
I feel like you're pointing fingers at someone in here.
But I think Brad bought like the horn halfway through. I think that was Brad's variant.
I didn't buy the horn variant. I mean, the horn variant.
George, I said that so you didn't have to name names, and you just went and said, "Oh, Brad did it."
Well, I mean, it's you know.
So too, though, MJ and Peter still don't know that they sold their marriage to the devil.
No.
Nothing has been addressed. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
Now, the one. Do you like that the George the Stacy twins or Norman didn't sleep with Gwen? That was fixed, but it wasn't the bigger problem, I don't think.
Right.
It wasn't the bigger problem. Don't get me wrong. We should all be thankful to Nick Spencer for getting rid of that shit show.
Yeah.
And putting that on the ash heap of history. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yes, thank you for that at least.
That's
a pro. That's a pro. That's why it's not an F-. But again, my F does not reflect Spencer, because I believe Spencer had intended to tell us a different story than what we got. And I think the end, the unsatisfying result, the inexplicable, unexplained shift from Peter Parker's soul, which is just forgotten and tossed out a window.
Yes.
And shifted to Harry. This is my number one piece of evidence that editorial got involved in the end and mandated this. Because Spencer was like wanting us to focus on Peter's soul. That made everybody think, oh, here we go. And then Marvel's like, woo, pulls the rug right under you. Maybe 900. Keep buying those variants. And I'm done as a reader, Brad. I'm not going to buy Amazing Spider-Man anymore. And it's not just the Beyond thing.
Wow.
It's not just the Beyond thing. Because remember, I was kind of on the fence.
Yeah.
This issue pushed me off that fence. Not only pushed me off that fence, but pushed me into, I'm done. Really? I'm not buying another Spider-Man comic.
Now, George, may I say, when Amazing Spider-Man 877 comes out and there is a proposal, will you go back?
No.
Okay.
No, because Marvel's already shown us that nothing will come of that. And they will get our hopes up, and then they will just kick us in the nuts.
Yeah, because
and I'm done.
What it looks like too is it looks like Mephisto still has the marriage.
He does.
So, here's the thing.
So Mephisto still wins.
Well,
he does.
In One More Day, I think part of the agreement was that Mary Jane told Mephisto, fine, we'll go along with this, but you cannot mess with Peter's life anymore. That was one of the things. Mm-hmm. So that puts Marvel against a wall.
Dude,
so
in
my thinking, I know Marvel doesn't care. I get that. But according to their script for One More Day, Mephisto Mephisto lost the deal because he didn't fulfill it. He didn't fulfill his part. He still got in the way of Peter's life.
He's the devil.
But also, he didn't really do so, because what he did was
he's a proxy.
He messed with the Osborns, which technically is not messing with Peter.
Yeah. Real quick, Neil, let me get a couple things. Vinkman says, here's some money to buy Neil some WD-40.
I'm working on getting a new chair.
Vinkman, I love you.
Look, man, I'm working on getting a new chair. Don't.
N7 Stormtrooper 22, thank you for the super chat. With the end of this story, my abusive relationship with Marvel comes to an end. We'll still listen to the podcast, though. So, Marvel always talks about the new reader. They need the new reader. They need the new reader. What have they done for the long-time current, they pay their rent on time reader?
Yeah,
who can pay rent?
They just lost George.
I've always told people this, that every new jumping on point that they throw out there is also a jumping off point.
Very true.
And here's the thing: I was so dissatisfied with this comic and and once again because they had teased us for like a year and a half, 2 years. Here we go. We're moving towards OMD. Little bits and pieces. Doctor Strange comes out. What's up with Peter Parker? So, oh my God, is this really happening? The hype was real. People got excited about it, and the entire time they knew they were just gonna fist us.
Oh, geez.
And I'm sorry. But as a reader, as a reader, I'm tired of being. I'm trying to make a point.
Oh, I know. But
I thought your mother was watching.
I don't care. So as a reader, I'm tired of being disrespected like that. And JR I've thought a lot in the last 10 days. And when JR has said numerous times, I've wondered if this is the time for me to just stop. I've wondered if this is the time for me to just step down and stop doing this because it's also unsatisfying. I finally hit that part this week, and I was like, I have bought my last Spider-Man comic.
Oh, man.
We are Mephisto.
The chat is apologizing to your mother.
So okay,
hashtag Mephistos. Oh my God.
Well, I think
I'm glad I've started this new trend of Mephistos.
I think I even told her today, like when we were eating lunch, I said because I had told her I was going to quit reading Spider-Man comics, and technically my mom was the one that got me into Spider-Man back when I was 3.
Yeah.
So I told her, I said, so I'm still going to do like Spider Jeopardy, and I'm still going to do the Spider-Man Far From Home review, whatever the hell it is, coming later this year. Yeah. And I told her, I said, that will be the final fisting I'm willing to suffer for Marvel as a Spider-Man fan.
Hey, the chat is asking for JR's opinions. Mary wants to know.
I think it was just Mary that was asking. I mean,
that's it. That's the only one that cares.
Well,
oh my God!
Just Mary.
There's Mob Web. Mob Web figured out how to chat. Oh, what's up?
Oh no! Oh wow! Oh my God!
Before
was he a cute, cuddly baby? At least at one time, was he cute and cuddly, or has he always been this
cuddly like he is now? Yeah,
cute and cuddly now.
So before we move on to JR, I just want to point out how shoddily put together this product is in terms of like a physical product. So if Brad, can you pull in? If you focus in on me real quick.
Yeah, 1 second.
So
there you go.
So this is the hardcover. Also terrible. I don't know. Stupid show.
Why are we advertising the
no, but hang on. So you notice this the spine. It's literally wearing off. The ink is literally coming off of the page. Like if you compare to ASM 49, number 850, the spine is still like not frayed, but like not only on a graphical level because like the epic conclusion of the Kindred saga is just in a yellow box. That's interesting, but like it's also just kind of it doesn't feel like it's falling apart yet, but like on a technical level, this book feels like it's just shoddily put together. It reflects the book. It reflects the content inside.
What, Kelly?
So. Can I bring a printing expert here? They did change printing people.
Oh yeah, Penguin S House.
Yeah, so there's an entire possibility that the ink that's being used by the new printing company, depending on what printer it's being printed on, is probably subpar. And of course, watch me say this and watch it actually be a printer that I am a part of their services. But I don't believe that. But yeah, they switched to Penguin, and I believe you're going to see a difference in quality in the printing going forward.
I didn't think it was possible for them to get worse than like their current.
Maybe they'll lower the prices if the quality is low.
I think we killed Neil.
More than likely, Brad, they'll raise the price for the special feature of the fall apart cover.
Well, no.
Variant.
Here's the thing, Brad. They'll raise the price and said they did it for you, the new reader.
Hold on, I'll go.
Ma Webb says that George has always been perfect. So
yes, Ma Webb. Okay.
Anyways,
real quick, Venkman, thank you for the super chat. I said this last year. Don't tease us with the promise of undoing one more day unless you're actually going to go through with it. Go big or go home. If you had no intention of doing it, then you shouldn't have strung us along.
Well, like you said, Spencer probably did.
Yeah, no, I fully expect that Spencer was looking to undo One More Day as much as he could and tell a completely different story. And once he was leaving for Substack, Marvel said, oh, "Okay, great, thanks for all the fish. And here's what we're actually going to do.
Give a man.
We're gonna switch it to Harry, and that way we keep One More Day around by our variants."
Which is why Spencer should have ended it earlier instead of dragging it out like
3 years.
Yeah, maybe so.
He fixed a lot in his first.
Like looking back,
50.
looking back, I actually like one of my kind of retroactive flaws with Spencer's run, even before like he obviously took off, was that like you could have probably cut down the pacing of like his bigger arcs by about half, and you probably would have gotten the same product. Oh, I'm just scaring everyone away. Okay, bye guys.
Best joke ever, Brad. Thanks, KO. Appreciate it. Neil's gonna hurl.
I actually thought I was gonna like choke. But
the rotting kindred, Brad, you jokester, because you demanded it. All right, back up here. One of the many comments Mary had was, "I want to hear JR's thoughts." We have not heard JR's thoughts. Let's hear it.
I'm scared.
Oh, I don't even know. I had a whole page of stuff here. I don't even know.
Lord. Oh my God!
Hold that up again, JR. Let me see it. Good Lord.
Just, but I guess one of the things I want to first of all, when as we the reader, the storytellers do not have an obligation to tell the story that we want to read necessarily. Okay,
that's true.
I mean, they don't necessarily, as a storyteller, have the responsibility to give us the type of ending we want, or the resolution we want. So. The idea, I never thought the marriage was coming back. And to be honest, that wasn't really what I was hoping to see out of all this ultimately anyway. I mean, I would have liked to have seen it, yes, but that wasn't what I was hoping for. But what they do have the obligation to give us is our money's worth. They have us the obligation to tell a story and to tell a satisfying story, and a story that ultimately, whether or not we like the ending. I mean, for example, I'll use Star Trek II as a Wrath of Khan as an example. I didn't like Spock dying, even though I knew, of course, he was going to come back. I mean, I didn't like Spock dying, but they told that in a great way. They told it. They told a great story.
Yes.
I'll give another example of like something, and I wasn't particularly a fan of all of this because I'm not a Cap fan or whatever. But when they brought Bucky back, the one thing you never thought was going to happen, there were like 3 people who were guaranteed to be dead in the Marvel universe: Uncle Ben, Gwen Stacy, and Bucky.
Not anymore. Yeah.
But Bucky came back, and of course, the first thought is, oh, this is a travesty, this is a sin, but apparently, from what I understand, the story that Ed Brubaker told was a great one. It was a logical one. It made sense. So whatever preconceptions one might have had, he overcame those with telling a solid story. One More Day was never a solid story. It was never a good story. It wasn't even a story to begin with. And so, but what people wanted, and this is something that, like in talks with my Spencer, I always explained that the fault of One More Day is not that Peter's not married afterwards. I mean, they could have gotten divorced or whatever they should have, but Joe Quesada, I was going to blame it on him being Catholic because, to them, it's like, that's the worst thing, divorce, but selling your soul to the devil, that's not nearly as bad,
The fight, he lost the fight to the devil, and he had a big loss. We want that.
He made a decision. He
made
a decision, and he did not. He didn't face the consequences of it because he doesn't even realize the consequences of it. That's not a story. That's not a story. That's not a hero. A hero can make good decisions or bad decisions, but the hero has to face the consequences of his bad decisions. Peter doesn't even know he made these decisions. So what kind of hero is he? So in a way, his heroism was gutted. That was the sin of One More Day, was that essentially his heroism was gutted. And Mary Jane's was as well, because she doesn't realize she did this either, and that's ultimately what I wanted to see was Peter come to, them to come to this conclusion that, they had made this decision and they were going to have to live with the consequences of it. But here's the thing. We didn't even get, this story wasn't even remotely satisfying. First of all, I'll go to George's thing that we've been told, Kindred wanted Peter to confess his sins. What were his sins? I don't know what his sins are, to be honest.
Stealing gum, as we find out in the next issue.
Exactly.
He ate the last taquito at the coffee bean.
Yeah.
You know, and then when Harry goes and checks in on his, there's a cute little kid trying to appear in the.
It's little Peter.
Hello, small child.
Anyway,
he wants to say goodnight to you guys.
Oh,
all right. Good night.
Good night, buddy.
Good night,
Peter.
Good night, bud.
Bye.
Sweet dreams. Why would you do that? Well, JR, why would you do that? At least Neil didn't screech like a banshee hag again, like he did before.
Get some sleep, buddy.
I can't ever think of the word Mephisto without thinking of Neil now either. But keep going, JR.
Okay, so and then, like, for example, you know, Harry goes in and he checks on Liz. He checks on, says, you know, Normie, where's his other son? It's like, I've got 2 kids. It's like, I've got 2 kids myself. It's like, well, I'm going to go to my doom. I'll check in and make sure one's okay. Screw the other one, though.
Hey, JR, you know what I kept thinking that whole time while he's in, like, the house? And I'm like, number one, how long have you been gone? Number 2, Liz moved past you so long ago. No, she's not staying in your old dig. She's been a CEO. She's had way more money.
No, they've been living together since the end of ASM 800.
They did? They started living together?
Yeah, so he basically was living with her.
I don't remember
that. Because he had no place to go.
I don't remember that. So he had time to instill Goblin warehouse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So for example, and here's the thing. We have this ending and we have no epilogue. We see no impact. It just happens. It just ends, and we get like 20 pages of bullshit. You know, it's like, what? There should have been an epilogue. What was the impact of Harry's death on, you know, Liz and his son and you know, where do Peter and Norman go from here now? If Norman's sins have been purged or whatever, and Norman acts like a wheezy, whiny bitch the whole, you know, it's like, what is the impact? What is the impact on Peter and Norman's relationship now? You know,
here, real quick, JR, we have a question. A Ron Friends wants to know what did the panel think of the variant cover?
Oh, I love Ron.
Don't rewind, Ron.
Don't judge a book by the cover, because the cover is beautiful.
Yes, we love the cover.
The cover is absolutely stunning.
It is.
Ron.
Yes.
It is beautiful.
Amazing.
Any Ron Friends art is good. Is good Ron Friends art.
This Gleason one was really good.
Just because I don't like variants as a whole and say sometimes like derogatory things about variants, Mr. Ron Friends, that does not mean I'm talking about you. I love you. I've loved your work since I was in junior high in the mid '80s.
Yes, Friends, this is an A.
Yeah,
it's a great cover.
The book underneath it, I'm so sorry.
Not so much. Not so much.
Here's the thing: like the majority of the covers for this book were actually really good. The Vicentini cover, the Gleason cover, the Friends cover. The only one I didn't like that I remember is the Marcella Ferreira cover, and I wouldn't pay $10 for that. I wouldn't pay $10 for any of these.
You did.
Oh yeah.
You did. So did I.
Pay $10 for it, you fool.
That's my name on the street.
And that's the thing about these covers too. They're actually little teases. I mean, what George has been saying.
They're all MJ
it's
based.
Supposed to, correct One More Day, the Gleason cover, the Reilly cover, all with Peter and MJ on it. We're supposed to, this is it, and then we get
where's the fist variant? Where's the fist variant? Coming in dry. This issue. Somebody.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Somebody takes it
down. Jesus. Hey, Peter, what did you think of this?
Why is Peter eating MJ?
They didn't get breakfast.
Okay.
He's like, fine.
No.
He's like, hey, you want to go for one last swing? I didn't eat breakfast. You'll have to do.
I mean, why is Ramos even doing this?
Okay, hang on real quick. I've got a theory for this. My theory is, so you notice how they've got and at the beginning of ASM 71, they had Federico Vicentini, and for the rest of the arc, they had him solicited for the rest of the book, or for the rest of the book. And then in ASM 72, they brought in the Chameleon Conspiracy team of Ferreira, Zé Carlos, and Carlos Gomez, and they're in this book too. My theory is that, like we've kind of, it kind of ties in what we've said before, that this was entirely different. And so they brought in all the spare artists they could find and who have been working on the book since Chameleon Conspiracy, and they kind of just like, okay, what's Ramos doing? Strange Academy's on hiatus. All right, buddy, come in. You're gonna do great. You're gonna do these last 2 pages.
Carlos Gomez should have done those last 2 pages.
That's a con. I've even lost where we are with pros and cons. I don't even think we're doing.
I don't care.
I think we've peppered them all in because every pro we have, unfortunately, has a con tied to it.
So the thing is, a con for me is how inconsistent the art is in this book.
I'm gonna be honest.
Very inconsistent.
Like artists who I've really enjoyed across this run, they didn't bring their A game. Like I know there's probably like some last minute changes they had to do, but like Carlos Gomez, I usually enjoy his art, but whether it be because of that thing I'm not allowed to speak of or just rush editorial, Carlos Gomez looks god awful. His art just looks really rushed and incomplete.
I think each artist that worked on this had very little time to do it.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think that's probably what caused it. I think that it was very sudden, and they did not. That's why there's so many of them, because they knew they couldn't give to like 1 or 2 people. They're like, oh my god, we must have 8 people. And you know what? We're going to snag a page from Sabu Sema.
Yeah. We reference to this. Our buddy Adam goes, "That's how people kiss these days." I don't think that's Peter. Is that how you kiss?
No.
It's fine.
You know, my
that's how
wife
I
went to
kiss.
bed.
Lots of tongue.
No. Oh God, George, your mother's watching.
I think George is just like, okay, I use my mom as cover for the first half of this review. I don't care anymore.
I forgot my mom was around. I didn't say that.
Too late. You lost your chance.
In the Frozen, what are Brad's thoughts on the issue? Very similar to everyone on the panel. I feel very Lucy in the football with Charlie Brown. I feel like I was going down a road and then we took a left turn at Albuquerque and we ended up someplace we didn't want to go. I could care less about Harry. What is it? Harry 52's clone or whatever it is, or Harry 3. Okay. When they said Peter Parker's soul and they ignored it, that's a trick. That is not a successful story. That is not a story that I want to hear. That's not one that piqued my interest because that tease led nowhere, absolutely nowhere. But after I read the book, I read it the day it came out. I went down and bought it the day it came out. And after it was over, I think Marvel wanted us to feel like, you know what? We're better off now. We're better off with these 2 kissing at the end. They're together again, but they're not. They're not. I mean,
they are, but they're not.
But they're not. And also, that book was $10, and it was mostly a fight. And I remember, what was it? Last year we had Mark on. He had a spreadsheet of why would the Kingpin bow to Kindred? Why? They're freaking Stacy clones. Why would the Kingpin bow?
Well, I don't think he knew who they were. That's the thing.
No, I know. Neither did the writer.
No, here's the thing. Spencer did, though. This is Christos Gage we're talking about.
Yeah. Spencer knew.
All I remember is all those little points, all those little clues led to these being the Stacy twins. That doesn't add up to me mentally. Go ahead, Kelly.
It's not supposed to.
So the twins are basically Mephisto's like henchmen, essentially. So like they work for him. I assume that the Kingpin would understand that that's kind of the situation. Maybe he didn't know who they really were under it, but he knew that Kindred is the right-hand man or woman of Mephisto. So that's kind of where that came from. Apparently, this is kind of what they've been doing while we haven't seen them.
Yeah. Adam says, why would the Kindreds care that Peter revealed his identity to Black Cat?
Bingo.
Because anyways, move on to the next one. Let's go.
What?
I don't know.
That was how Marvel cared. Like now that Peter's revealed Black Cat, they don't care anymore.
Don't worry about that. Let's not worry about
also
that.
Also says the tease of the engagement ring led nowhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it was even in Sinister War #1. Like even after we've kind of theorized Spencer.
It was in 3 issues. 3.
Put that posted on your screen. Mama's
Kelly,
watching.
I think Kelly's been wanting to talk for like a while now.
Ahead,
Kelly,
I'm sorry.
Have you been wanting to say something?
No, I think it's just I think there's a delay, so then it winds up like I'm talking over everybody.
No, it looks more like everybody's talking over you. So like I just did. I'm sorry. That's why I wanted to point out. Are you?
No,
I don't want you to feel left out.
I think that I've talked everything that I need to really say. I think we all are kind of on the same page. There's a lot of there's a lot of inconsistencies with this particular issue, where basically everything that we were led up to did not get resolved, and I don't. To me, it's a little too inconsistent for Nick Spencer and his writing and the history of his writing for me to believe that this was his plan. Something's different there. And that's why I said I think it's editorial. And like we do get what was promised, which is MJ and Peter can be back together again, and they're basically practically living together. And I'm sure we'll see them like, be a team again with each other during these Beyond issues and everything. However, this wasn't what we were necessarily promised.
We were promised the question of what's wrong with Peter Parker's soul from Mephisto to Doctor Strange, and we never got that delivered.
Exactly.
So there is.
Go ahead, Neil.
There is kind of one small pro, and it's the one that I kind of have to stretch the truth to get a bit of a takeaway from it, is that by accident, because like they've got Doctor Strange saying like their love is unbreakable, and like now they're together again, Marvel's kind of accidentally stacked the deck against the next writer who wants to try and break them up. And we know it'll happen sometime, given that they've been willing to yank our chain enough to buy all this, but it'll be a lot easier for us to kind of telegraph it and then call the writers out on it if they try to do it again.
One pro that hasn't been mentioned yet that I did actually like was I thought we were going to have a lifting of the heavy stuff, the Spider-Man panel where he lifts stuff, but Mary Jane reached in and helped him. I did like that. I did like
Peter
that.
and Mary Jane characteristic is still there, and that is satisfying, but it's not to the satisfying portion that we wanted. Yes. We wanted more. Marvel knows what we wanted. But we
Speaking of what the fans want, Jeffrey says he wants to know more about JR's thesis. What haven't you said, JR? What's still on the page?
Well, again, I was talking about the fact that we didn't get a satisfying story, and for one, another thing is, again, you talk about, say what you will about Slott, at least issue number 800 was one story. Instead of the 16 pages that we got these ridiculous, other stories or whatever's on, could have been used to flesh out the main story, and it wasn't. Okay, so that's a waste, an utter waste there. And two, it's like now it seems like Spider-Man's greatest villain, the villain who's had the most impact on his life, is Mephisto. Not so much Norman Osborn, not so much Doc Ock, but Mephisto. So now Mephisto is, rather than use, Mephisto to not just necessarily undo One More Day, but just take Mephisto out of the Spider-Man equation, by having Peter realize the deal he had made and the choices he had made, and essentially by taking control of his life again. Because as long as there's this black hole in his memory that he doesn't remember doing, Mephisto still has a grip on his life. This story should have resolved that and got Mephisto completely out of the Spider-Man business. Okay, that was what should have happened. But no, Mephisto is now even more heavily in the Spider-Man business, because guess what? Now Norman Osborn has made a deal with him, and before that, Doc Ock made a deal with him. Okay, so Mephisto now is one of the greatest villains of a universe in which he doesn't belong. These supernatural elements do not belong in the Spider-Man universe, And then who were the Stacy twins? Whose genetics were they? They were clones of who? Whose genetics made them up?
I think they mentioned it was Peter's. Like they
do they?
No,
I don't.
Wait, I thought I saw that in ASM 73.
Who knows? It's a very confusing story.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter, and it does, but I don't care.
What was the Chameleon's role and Teresa's role? Why did we have so much time spent on the Chameleon and Teresa and the finisher, whatever?
Yes.
Where did that go? Like I said, it was never really the whole idea of, and again, not just bringing the marriage back, for example, but cleaning up things that didn't belong. Like I'll say this, the Stacy twins, for example, like I said in the last podcast, I thought the Stacy twins could be used, but obviously Marvel didn't want to go there. No one, it was something that was hanging over the Marvel universe. People didn't like it. So fine, get rid of it. All right. So they removed the Stacy twins, but they also should have removed the whole One More Day thing. gotten it out of the and they didn't do it. And like I said, now Mephisto's got an even bigger role in Peter Parker's life than he had before. So we've gone backwards. We really haven't gone forwards. We've gone backwards.
I agree.
And this whole 75 issues, then this whole 3 years has accomplished nothing. We have gotten nowhere.
Well, Norman didn't sleep with Gwen. Come on.
Well, the last 3 years, the only thing that it gave us outside of undoing Sins Past was Mary Jane and Peter being together again.
Yeah,
that's true. And those are big fixes. I mean, Spencer will be remembered for being a fixer.
There's much Spencer did correct and proper and deserves credit for. Absolutely.
Agreed.
Well, I was about to say, I wish he had done it a lot sooner then. I wish he had done it over a lot fewer issues.
Well, I think it's, again, I think that's editorial's problem.
I don't care. I mean, it's like, I don't care. We got the stories we got. It's like anything else. You go to a restaurant and you get a bad meal, well, the cook had a bad day. I don't effing care. I got a bad meal, and that's what I'm going to grade. I don't care if Spencer was interfered with. We got an unsatisfactory bullshit story. We didn't get our money's worth. We've been effed, and sorry, George's mom, but we've been Mephisto'd.
Yes, he said the thing.
It's now a thing, Neil.
I've created
mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
I'm so glad the two things I made for this site have stuck: Abrams Man and Mephistus.
Hey, man. Yeah, it's
it wasn't because we didn't get the ending we wanted, but we got a garbage story. Marvel feels it has it's not giving us the ending we want. Stories, fiction, you aren't always supposed to get the endings you want, but you're supposed to get what you pay for. Marvel consistently will not give us what they pay for, and they don't care. And we're all part of the problem because we keep buying into it. Some obviously, like the guy in the upper left-hand corner, some more so than others.
Real quick, Venkman, thank you for the super chat. He says, I'll be honest, even though I quit last year, I was considering picking up ASM again, at least digitally, maybe even getting Comixology after this issue. I'm fine waiting for it to show up on Marvel Unlimited 3 months late. Oh, man.
So that's it.
I'm fine never reading it at all from here on out.
Man.
Yeah.
Kelly, what were you saying?
No, I was just making a face at Neil's laugh.
Oh.
Yeah, that's me every Monday night, Kelly.
Adam says JR is right.
You got good role.
Kelly found Nemo.
No, it's I specifically bought this for the zombie Spider-Girl cover when I recreated it, and now it just stays on my bed, and I'm just playing with it now.
Adam has a good question. Spencer's run is a B overall, and that's being generous. Let's go around the panel. Let's give Spencer's run a grade. Kelly, Spencer's run.
A- overall.
Neil?
Yeah, I'm in the same ballpark, A-.
Peter?
I'll give it an A.
George?
I give it an A- as well.
JR?
Here we go.
George saw it coming like a mile. He's like, I'm gonna hit that sleeve.
I hear the train coming. It's coming around the bend.
JR's like,
it's JR giving the book a C. I'm going around the bend.
I'll give it a B. This one really
the cover was good.
A- for me. I'll give it a B. But I don't think Spencer had much to do with this.
Yeah, I don't think Spencer's.
I consider
this much.
I consider
we'll talk about
JR's
this 10 years
analogy
from now.
about the bad meal. We paid for a meal, and it was a bad meal, in my opinion.
I consider the end of Spencer's run to be King's Ransom giant size. That's the last run that that's the last couple of issues I think Spencer's influence was like completely there.
Yeah.
I wish Marvel would give us a fun size of something. Anything.
Hang on, real quick. Can we consider this like the facade of the 2010s? Like considering like, well, no, we got an answer to Kindred. We didn't get really an answer to Facade. So,
let's see. Preach, JR, preach. Mary is your biggest fan there, JR. I don't blame George. I give it a C. All right, real quick,
I've
Kelly.
Complained about. I mean, I recognize that Spencer's run is a lot better than what we had before, what we had for years before. But I've always had problems with it, and I've always been pretty clear about the problems I've had with it. Is that it's went on too long. The stories were padded. We got a lot of stories that didn't. I'm sorry, folks. An issue devoted to GOG is not what I paid for.
Nope, I paid for it.
I didn't pay for it. I didn't want the who's and the lures and all those other issues. It's like. I'm sorry, but with Nick Spencer, we got 100 issues, and we got 40 issues with a story, and some of that's got to be on him. I mean, it would be nice to paint Marvel as the sole devil because they make such a good one, but I think I think the writer has to bear some of this as well.
We've got at least 3 more stories in the back of this. I don't even, do we need to grade them? Kelly, you can talk about them real briefly if you want.
Yeah. So the real brief part is really, so the second story after the Nick Lowe letter that I refused to even read.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's called In Memory by Christos Gage, art by Todd Nuck. So the art's
awesome. Better than what we just read.
Yeah.
Todd Nuck's great.
I agree.
So this is, it's well, I'm not going to say it's a cute story because it kind of hits some tough things, but basically Peter's feeling down about everything that just happened, went to go talk to his Uncle Ben at his grave. A man named Scully came by to also pay his respects, and they start talking, and Peter basically remembers who Scully is, which he wasn't a nice man in the neighborhood at the time, but Ben always tried to help him out. And eventually kind of had to stop doing that because the guy is an alcoholic and was abusive. But basically the story is because of everything Ben did to help him, he eventually got his act together and got his life together. And so he wanted to leave his first year sobriety chip on Ben's grave as a thank you.
Yeah.
And it's basically just kind of saying that, even though Peter feels lost all the time, him helping everybody is really for the greater good, like his Uncle Ben did in the neighborhood. So I really enjoyed it just because, at least Christos understands how Ben needs to be portrayed and that legacy. So that was really great. Also, amazing art by Todd Nuck. Yeah. Third story is 1 page, just basically Spider-Man going through his whole history on 1 page that he can. It's kind of cute, but there's nothing really to say about it.
The art's cute.
Story, the art's cute. So the 4th story is just called Janine, which I know we don't have super clone fans here, but basically Elizabeth Thine, aka Janine, who was Ben Reilly's love interest, but he's kind of forgotten her for a long time.
Yeah, from the Lost Years.
Yeah, from the Lost Years, but he's
J.M. DeMatteis,
but he's kind of forgotten her for a while. But apparently things are kind of getting back on track because I literally wrote, "Yay, messy clone stuff."
Truth.
Yeah, but she's been in jail all this time for murdering her abusive POS father, I believe. There's also a few things because I know she escaped and stuff like that. So Janine has a visitor and she thinks it's someone doing a podcast, but in reality, it's the Beyond Corporation. They tell her that they want her to move her to a facility and have her work for them and basically live the life of Reilly.
Yeah. Total reference to the Glenn Greenberg stories.
Well,
yes.
She's not stupid and realizes what this means and immediately goes with them, even though she was hesitant before. They let her leave on her own accord, and she's kind of basically just freaking out because she never thought she was going to get out. Right. And she doesn't believe any of this is happening. The Beyond people tell her that she's got to wait for an escort to walk her out, and here comes Ben Reilly. They have a very emotional embrace as Janine's knees buckle from seeing him again, and then they fly off with the Beyond Corporation basically saying that she's worth being free because it buys Ben's loyalty.
Yeah.
And that's it.
All right. Thoughts on any of those stories? Anybody?
Bullshit.
I didn't bother reading them. I scrolled through and I was like, I like the Todd Knock art, and then look, we got some shitty clone thing. I'm done.
Well, so I do think the Janine story sets us up for the Beyond Corporation. It's very clear that they are doing everything they can to keep Ben happy and not looking too hard at them. If they can get him distracted with Janine and give them this crazy big life, which we'll go into in the next issue, basically the Beyond Corporation doesn't seem very very good here.
Truth. Yeah. Yeah.
They never
Here,
have
real
been.
quick, last word on this issue. Venkman has a question for us. What, Neil?
I was trying to say I actually kind of like the Janine story.
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't mind it.
It wasn't
It
anything
was an
special.
8-page ad for what the crap that's coming. I wanted my epilogue with.
Yeah.
I know,
Yes.
but for what we got, I actually thought it wasn't that bad.
Real quick, last word on this issue is a question from Venkman with the super chat. Thank you, Venkman. I think you might have already answered it, but does ASM 875 completely undo all the goodwill Spencer generated during his 3-year run? It took personally,
100%. Yeah.
it took a lot away from me. We talked about this last month, and I said he could still not hit the landing, and I don't think he even jumped. I don't think he wrote a lot of this.
Yeah,
he wasn't on the plane.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't. Okay, so I don't think it takes away. Hang on, can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
Were you attacked? It looks like a crime scene.
No. Okay, so what I tried to do is I tried to take off the wheels on my chair so that you guys can hear it like creaking and stuff. I was trying to do this for you, but I couldn't get the bottom screws off. But anyways, in terms of my goodwill towards Marvel, it undoes it completely.
Yeah.
But in terms of my goodwill towards Spencer, no.
Yeah,
I think Spencer. I think, and I say this because looking at like Secret Empire, where like you can tell Spencer wanted to go one way, and then like editorial like when no guys, we gotta go back to Steve Cap. Go that way. You can tell that this is kind of a frequent occurrence for Spencer. So I don't feel bad for Secret Empire because that was bad, but I feel kind of bad for
stupid-ass idea to begin with.
Well, yeah, hang on, but I feel bad for Spencer in general because it seems like this just seems to be a recurring problem for him, and I think he's going to be a lot happier over at Substack being a college football recruiter.
As a writer, that must be so frustrating. As you have a story, you have a beginning, a middle, and end that you want to tell, and you can't tell your ending. And we're all assuming that editorial did step in. We don't know any facts of that. Just by reading 3 years worth of books, it doesn't seem like his voice is what I'm going off of.
Yeah,
But anyway, should we move on? Should we move on to one more issue? These shows are going long, by the way. The news show is going to be very late because it's supposed to start in 2 minutes, and we haven't even tackled the next book. But I didn't want to. People have been wanting to know what we thought of this one, and this.
Why did you go get mine? Hang on.
This was a good debate. So I guess how we can tease this is George's last ASM book he's reading for the next forever, possibly. And I wanted to give it to George because I wanted to see if he liked the setup of this enough to continue to read it. That's why
you gave it to me because it was a clone thing, and you wanted me to bring the funny.
You know me well. You do.
Yeah.
You don't. I wanted to, here's what I thought. I said, you know what? Who should I assign this book to? The person that I suspect will like it the least, but also will bring the funny, but will also be surprising if he does like it, and if this entices him to keep
Brad,
reading the book. That's why I totally gave it to you, George.
Okay, yeah, Brad, you aimed for the deer and shot at the sky with that thought.
So let me explain what happened with this. Okay so after 74, after the last issue we just talked about for an hour and a half.
I know, right, dude?
I was like, I have bought my last Spider-Man comic book.
No.
With this issue, I am done. I'm ending this abusive relationship with Marvel Editorial, and I am taking my money and walking. I was only buying the Amazing Spider-Man. That's it. I wasn't buying anything else. And I was like, even that's too much. I'm done. Yeah. I'm ending the cycle of violence with Marvel Comics.
Okay.
So then on Facebook, we get the podcast assignments. and sure enough, 875 George. Or not 875, number 75. Yeah, whatever. Well. Clone crap, George.
That's why I picked it. I wanted to get your opinion, man.
So not only
about your opinion than anybody else.
So not only did I have to be like, Christ, I have to spend more money now after I just said I am done.
So Marvel was
I've
abusive
paid
to
for
you.
my last.
Now I'm abusive to you.
Can I ask a question of you? Can I ask a question of you, George? When you got that assignment, did you go, "Oh my God, first Brad wastes my time, now he's wasting my money"?
Yeah, I mean,
it's like George broke up, and then Brad asked him, "So what happened?"
Baby, come back.
I felt like I felt like remember the old SNL sketch with Obama and Hu Jintao, and you had Nassim Purad, I think her name was Purad, like being the translator about how China owes or the U.S. owes China so much money, and then so she's translating for Hu Jintao and is like, "Do I look like Mrs. Obama?" And then that's what Hu Jintao says, and then Obama says, "What do you mean? Do I look like Mrs. Obama?" Well, no. Then why do you keep trying to do sex on me like I was Mrs. Obama?
Whoa!
Is Brad doing the Mephisting now?
So everybody.
All right, let's go.
Boy, yeah, okay. So a story is so important. We brought back the guy who gave you Shed, the most rapey, filicidal story in Spider-Man history,
and one of Nick Lowe's favorites, as he
yes, he mentions this in the back.
In this horribly offensive 2-page diatribe, which George will probably touch on.
Yeah, he writes that Shed is one of his all-time favorite stories, and I'm like, why are you like this?
Yeah, true.
Why? I mean, I guess as far as rape stories where you eat your own kid, I guess it was all right. I don't know. I don't read a lot of that crap. Yeah. Anyway, so Peter has a nightmare. Starts off with Aunt May dragging him back, to pay so she could pay for candy he stole. And Uncle Ben turns into spiders down in the basement or whatever. Peter wakes up very panicked while Randy's trying to get in the door. So Peter decides to walk outside of his building, up the wall, outside costume, because whatever, no danger anymore, I guess. I don't know. So he's about to, so he goes up to this building where I guess he goes to think a lot, and almost gets run over by Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he's like, who is that? Who the curse word is that? We're bringing back the, we're bringing back the brand new verse habit of Spider-Man just swears a lot. Remember?
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. Yay. Great. Glad that's back. I guess Spider-Man's going to start running out of web fluid every issue now too. So he yells at this unknown Spider-Man, goes after him. Unknown Spider-Man overcomes him with a new gadget that paralyzes him and tells him to think about his life. Great. Then we go to ESU, and Peter's meeting some of his fellow students, and they're like, "Well, you've been missing classes and tests and stuff. You better talk to Dr. Connors." And Peter's thinking, Dr. Connors just tried to kill me for several issues.
Yeah.
But anyway, Ben shows up. Peter, of course, the contrast between them. Peter, dressed like he slept in his clothes, and Ben coming out with this nice suit, looking like Ned. Looking like what's his name?
Ben 27.
No, not Ben 27. He looks better than that.
He actually looks a lot like Ned in Spencer's ASM run.
Yeah,
I think about it.
I can see that.
Just with a beard or stubble. I don't know.
No, he looks like Cody Rhodes from AEW. Like Cody Rhodes looks amazing in a suit. All right, like the dude knows how to wear a suit. So that's how he comes across here. He comes across like Cody Rhodes without the tattoo. Anyway, so he's like, "Hey, yeah, been a long time." And Peter, there's so many times I'm reading this thing and I'm like, "Why aren't you saying things like, 'Oh yeah, like that time you got all murdery'?"
Yeah. and Marvel time, that was a month ago.
Yeah, it's a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hey, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah. Buckaroo.
So he and Peter sit down, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, this Beyond company, this Beyond Corporation that I work for now, yeah, they bought all your stuff. They bought all the Parker Industries stuff, including the patent, the trademark on Spider-Man. So yeah, we own Spider-Man. I'm Spider-Man now."
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Peter lets him start, keep talking and not spitting out teeth, as someone mentioned in our Discord not too long ago. Spider-Man yells at a guy that looks like he's about to steal money off, tip money off a table. You could tell Spider-Man's on edge, and so I mean, Ben just comes across as a prick here.
Yes.
It's like, actually, I don't have to ask your permission on it. We own it. So I'm the new Spider-Man. Woohoo!
Mm-hmm.
And Peter's like, all right, well, I guess I'll take this one of the shorts. And he's like, Ben's back. He's having fun, whatever. We see Ben come back and talk to replacement redhead. What's her name?
Replacement redhead.
Yeah, replacement redhead.
Here, let me get a picture of her. There she is.
Janine has had 3 names, so it's natural to not remember. Yeah,
here's a 4th.
Yeah.
Well, I also don't remember because I don't give a damn.
That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, there's that too.
Yeah.
She's crying. Oh, life is so great. These people came and made food for us, and then they cleaned and left, and everything's great. Hey, look, we have sushi, and isn't this a wonderful life? Isn't this the life of Reilly? So the guy from this guy Marcus comes in from the Beyond Corporation, says, "Yeah, I need to talk to the big guy here. Yeah, give us a moment here." Meanwhile, we cut to MJ and Peter, and they're talking about how he's not really dealing with Harry's death yet, and Mary Jane's, trying to be supportive, but in typical Parker fashion, emo bitch, I'm gonna swing off and not talk to you. Sorry. Meanwhile, we go back to ESU where the UFOs show up again, swearing left and right because that's
really
that's what we do now. No, not Peter or Ben. This is the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it just, I don't know. Every time I see this, it just looks so out of place with the characters and replacing the curse words. I'm just like, it's so asinine.
At least it feels more organic with the UFOs.
It does. I mean, at least it's the bad guys. Anyway, they jump out, talk like they basically talk like the Wrecking Crew. I mean, like they just talk like stupid idiot criminals. The real Spider-Man and fake former current Spider-Man, I guess, show up to fight the UFOs. Actually, the art here was not bad. I kind of like
I agree.
I'll talk about it later.
I kind of like the big dude fighting. I always like big bruiser types.
You like the UFOs? They're one of my favorite Hulk villains.
Yeah, I've liked the UFOs historically. Yeah. Anyway, maybe it could have been better with Spider-Man villains. I don't know. But then again, we just dealt with Spider-Man villains nonstop, repeatedly for how long? Anyway, so they overcome these guys. But Spider-Man's not shielded the way that Ben Reilly is in his Beyond suit and his celebrity high-tech suit or whatever. And Peter gets a lethal dose of some kind of toxin or radiation. I wasn't sure what. Wasn't paying much attention to this story. Anyway, so Peter's apparently got some kind of toxicity or radiation poisoning. Tells Ben, the problem with him is inside. And then he fades to black while Ben is like saying, hold on, buddy. The end. Thank Christ.
What? Let me guess. Your grade?
Oh, it's an F. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's we bring back one of the worst Spider-Man writers in history, who wrote Shed, and I'm sorry, Shed is unforgivable. It is one of the most unforgivable stories ever told in Spider-Man.
All right, we have an F. JR, you go that low?
Not quite, but pretty close. I give this one a D- as well. I have no interest in this shit.
Okay, Neil.
I'm actually going to be a little kinder. I'd give it a C+.
Okay, Peter.
I'm being generous. C-.
Kelly.
I gave it a B-.
I'm with Kelly. I liked it better than a lot of you. The art was good. I didn't mind it. I liked this story better than the previous one.
I'd actually be willing to. Sorry, Kelly.
No, I'm just saying same.
I'd be willing to bump. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Neil.
Did you buy more than one cover of this one too, Brad?
I did not. One copy. Neil, what were you saying?
I'd be willing to. This issue's actually been slowly growing on me. I didn't like it at first. Like George said, it kind of. Okay. The dogs don't want me to give my opinion.
Just keep talking. It's fine.
Okay. So this book actually, I didn't like it at first. It felt like George said, it felt a little too brand new day for me, but it's kind of slowly growing on me the more I kind of think about it.
Yeah.
And that's
George,
where
let me hear
Marvel
your
has
pros. There were no pros, probably.
Yeah.
You said art. You did say art. George.
No, the art was good. I liked the art, and it looked nice. That was about it.
Can you give a book? Well, I mean, it's your opinion, but if the art is good, but the writing sucks,
Absolutely.
Would that not be a C?
No, the story is the most important for me. It could have gorgeous art, and if the story is shit, then I'll give it an F. I don't care. Art is secondary for me. The story is what matters.
I got you. Pros. Let's go to Kelly. Kelly and I gave it the highest grades. Kelly, what did you like about it?
So basically, I found it funny that this is all because of Otto. Because Beyond Corporation wouldn't have been able to buy the trademark had Otto not trademarked it.
Yeah.
So this is technically Otto's fault. This is all because of Superior Spider-Man. So if you hate this, just like we all hate Superior Spider-Man, this is the ramifications. But I also like that Ben, even with all the money and power, is still Ben, and the fact that he really cannot see the bigger picture ever. Because he doesn't seem like nothing's raising any alarms for him with the Beyond Corporation just basically handing him this life on a silver platter, which is why he agreed to it. Because I'm sure we'll find out later he only agreed to this because they were willing to get Janine out. Which, again, as I stated earlier, is funny how he's literally forgotten about her for so many years with bad writers. I'm glad he's remembering her now, but it feels a little too, it's very clear that this is bad news. And I think Peter would have picked up on this. Mary Jane would have picked up on this, but Ben and Janine are going to get that lifestyle that, we kind of, not necessarily that we want for Peter and MJ, but they're going to get to have this. And we're going to kind of see why this is bad. And I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. It's just, I can kind of see what they're trying to do, because we're going to have this juxtaposition of a couple struggling, but making it out versus these people are going to have everything and they're probably not going to make, they're going to get kind of their butts handed to them at some point because of it.
Refresh me. Was Ben Reilly a jerk in the Clone Saga?
A little bit.
Not overtly, but he was kind of a little prickly.
Yeah.
What's an example of him being a jerk in the original Clone Saga? He was a jerk most recently by being the Jackal.
Well, that's less of a jerk, more supervillain.
Yeah, but it was way more. He was way more than a jerk in that. Right?
Well, I know he was
very murdery.
But I don't remember. That's one of the things I liked a little bit of this issue is about how I do like the contrast between Peter and Ben, and Ben is very much a jerk in this. I don't care about your opinions. We're trademarking this thing. I don't care if you're the OG Spider-Man. Well, I kind of like him being the jerk a little bit.
Yeah, well, like I said, he'll have a good reason. This is the thing about Ben has been, once he decides on something, that's it. I can think it used to be certain writers will play it off as just like a naivety versus I don't think it's necessarily naivety as much as it's a lot like Peter when he was younger, where everything is set in stone. Yeah. I'm going to do this, and it's, Peter's had the actual life experiences that Ben really hasn't, to open up his mind and learn a little bit and get a little bit more wisdom, versus Ben doesn't have that wisdom. He never really has, even with the memories he has shared with Peter, he didn't actually experience them. And that's the way I was taking these things, is that Ben is trying to protect his family and protect him. And he's not really thinking about the bigger picture as to why.
Adam has a great point to my question. When was Ben a jerk? Ben 27 dug up Uncle Ben's corpse and clone conspiracy.
But again, we kind of need to ignore Ben 27 because we're essentially going back to default settings with this one.
Hornacek says in the 90 Clone Saga, Ben took Peter's place in prison. He seemed to go out of his way to help Peter, even when Peter went crazy and worked for the Jackal.
Ben wasn't really that bad of a character. I mean, he wasn't that bad of a character in the original Clone Saga. He helped out Peter and tried to make things right, given the certain circumstances he was under.
They were like brothers,
So can I?
There's no reason we should like this Ben after what we've seen coming for the last few years. True. There's no reason we should like this Ben or care about this Ben. This isn't a Ben that we care about. So why in the world, are we making it about this character for the next 6 months when we have a Spider-Man movie coming out in December? So we're going to tell stories about a different Spider-Man in Amazing.
Neil, go ahead. You had one point. Let's get the cons pretty quick too.
So one thing I think like a massive pro for me is Pat Gleason's art. You can tell he had a lot of time to do this issue. Like his vistas, like he really captures the idea of like flying of web swinging as Spider-Man. The kinetic action he does, and I think it also comes down to the colorist, which it wasn't Sanchez, it was Marcio Menez. But he does a great job of like giving everything enough contrast to pop on something. The UFOs look phenomenal.
That's beautiful.
The UFOs look dynamic. They each have like their own kind of movement. They're very fluid. I think that Pat Gleason, I don't think he carries the issue, but he does a lot of job. Like he helps carry the pacing. I think it helps because he's also a writer on the Beyond board. But he does a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of pacing and how the issue flows from one scene to another. It does a very good job of kind of showing the movement of the comic.
Yeah, the art is outstanding, just outstanding in the book. I just wish, like George says, I wish
it wasn't wasted on a crappy clone story.
Exactly. Venkman says, thank you for the super chat. He was a bit of a jerk during the Lost years, like when the first time he met Seward Trainer. I don't remember that. Do you guys remember that when he met Seward Trainer? I don't know, but. Cons. You want to do cons real quick? Kelly? Oh, no, it was George's book. Sorry. Yeah. George? Cons.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the whole goddamn issue, Brad. I mean, it's just, what's the number one way, like, Marvel could put the gloves on and go in one more time on me, following 74 up with clones.
Yeah. Brain Trust.
And Brain Trust, bringing back Zeb Wells. I mean, this was like a blender full of just bullshit that I'm so over.
Why you're out? Yeah.
I'm free, Brad. I'm free. I'm a free man.
Like a bird, man.
Turn me into a bird so I can fly far away.
Con out of me is Spider-Man just fought basically every villain he's ever fought, and he's taken out by the UFOs.
Yeah, I will say I actually don't mind the way he was taken out because he basically gets nuked in an atom bomb explosion, and like he's resistant to radiation, but he's not completely immune. I kind of like how they use something a bit more creative than just Peter gets hurt by punches. They actually kind of used like an actual weakness he has. One thing I didn't like is that I actually kind of like the build up to doing the Beyond Corporation because that third page, the spread with Uncle Ben. Like he has a giant hole in his head. That's actually a pretty big Beyond Corporation calling card if you've read Next Wave and Ewing's Mighty Avengers.
I haven't.
But I don't know if they're trying to imply that like the Beyond Corporation has like it's sort of like how Kindred was like, oh, he's been here all along. He's been pulling all the strings. Yeah. I don't like that the Beyond Corporation, one, that they're like doing this specifically to Spider-Man, because their whole thing is like multiversal shenanigans, but also that it's implying that like the Beyond Corporation's been behind the scenes of his life all along.
Any other cons before we wrap it up?
Yeah, 2 pages of Nick Lowe's self-serving bullshit.
Yeah,
first of all, by saying, that Shed was one of his favorite Spider-Man stories of all time. And also, so we built the best writing team comics has ever seen. He writes that. He spends he says that.
JR, Stan Lee did the same stuff, man.
I don't give a shit. I don't care. That was Stan Lee. Stan Lee is one of the most important figures in American popular culture history. He earned the right to a little hyperbole.
The editor can't go out and say this is going to suck and we know it, but let's keep paying for 900.
Stop it with but you don't have to do this. You don't have to do 2 pages of self-serving, butt-licking crap like this, and he calls it the most ambitious storyline in my 5+ years I've been Spider editor. What about the last 3 years with Nick Spencer? That wasn't ambitious. That was an ambitious story.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, it's like this is garbage. This is absolute self-serving garbage. Yeah. So I don't know.
I remember when I read this and I saw where he was saying that Shed was one of his famous stories, the first thing that popped in my head was that's automatically a disqualifier in my book for you to be a Spider-Man editor. Because Shed was awful on so many damn levels.
Yeah.
It wasn't just bad, it was offensive.
That's the offensive part that JR talks about with Fs. That did offend me too.
And so here we glorify that. Boy, did I love Shed. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
By the way, boys, Eric says you and JR are on fire tonight.
Well, this is the last bonfire I'm part of.
Well, I'm not trying to defend it. I'm more thinking on a PR level because this is kind of what I went to college for. But like, I don't think they have to keep it Spider-Man relevant, so they can't use like Hellions or Ant-Man or like his more recent work. And you can't just go out there and say, "Oh yeah, I read Shed, it was shit." You can't just say that as an editor to your. So as a PR move, it makes sense. I don't like Shed that much, and I get why. But hang on, JR.
I'm sorry, no, but he could have said, "How about Behind the Mustache?" He could have used a Zeb Wells story people liked.
But I'm just saying that like Zeb Wells has written Amazing Spider-Man before, and I know we're going to disagree on this, but I get it from a PR angle. Like this is standard corporate speak. I was trained in this.
He has to make it sound like the next issue is going to be the best thing you've ever read.
Yeah.
And
it's the same it's the same thing as when Marvel talks about how important and great One More Day is, when everyone knows that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they can't come out and say, yeah, Shed and One More Day sucked. Sorry, but
don't say anything at all then.
I agree.
It's like with Saladin Ahmed. Like they make a point about like his previous work, and I kind of wish they had kept like his non-Spider-Man works with Zeb Wells. But like he brings up Black Bolt, Exiles, and Miss Marvel. Like I think Exiles was trash, but people know that work, so they're gonna mention it. It's just kind of one of those things that we kind of have to take on the nose and just kind of, I guess, live with it.
Another reason I gave this book to George is because it has one of his favorite characters in it, Misty Knight. We didn't talk about this part.
I looked through it and saw that Misty Knight and Colleen Wing were there. Don't care. I'm done reading. I'm done buying Marvel. Done reading Marvel. I mean, it was cool. I could see Misty Knight. I mean, if this is my last comic book and I could see Misty Knight one last time, I'm like, okay, cool. Because I'm damn sure not excited about seeing Spider-Man for the last time.
I didn't like
what
the
about
art
the other the part with Kafka is his psychiatrist.
And then the next story we have, I guess it's Dr. Kafka again, shifting back into her dumpy form.
Oh, George is gonna beat my ass next episode.
Yeah. I mean, next episode.
He's done.
Neil, this is it.
Oh no, I'm talking about next episode, like the next episode.
The news episode. Okay.
But it does tease the JMD Mateus story coming out, which I like him coming back.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, look, we go from Dr. Kafka being petite and hot again. Keep scrolling. Well, back to Dr. Kafka looking, like she used to.
Oh yeah, back in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm like they're so inconsistent with Dr. I mean, they're not as inconsistent as the movie where they gave Dr. Kafka dong, but it's I'm talking about Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
Oh, is Mom still watching?
I don't know. This is kind of late now. I don't know. But no, I mean, they're so inconsistent with Dr. Kafka and how she's supposed to be portrayed and how she's supposed to look. We've mentioned that so many times.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you're tap dancing on a landmine here because this is one of the things you guys never get right.
We're at it again, boys.
2 hours of 2 issues. We are about half an hour late on the next show.
This is the most negative this show has been, Brad.
Yeah, I would agree.
In like 3 years.
I would agree.
This is as negative as we would be any month during a slot month.
I agree. Very strong opinions. All right, let's wrap it up. By the way, Mama's still watching. Yes, I'm still here.
You're gonna get a phone call.
She has texted me before while I was on the show, telling me don't say that. Don't say this. Yeah.
Ira wants to know what JR gave grades for those other 2 stories or the other 2 completes. Did you like the Colleen Wing and the Ben Reilly Electro thing, or Dr.
No, he's talking about the incompletes I gave in the last podcast. When I wouldn't rate those 2.
Give me those 2 grades from last month.
I gave him incompletes because, like I said, at that point it just seemed to me I not knowing exactly where the story was going, I felt I was missing a lot of context. But now I was going to give them both actually fairly good grades because I thought the story they were intriguing, that how they were wrapping these things up. But now I got to give them both C- because they're garbage.
Good job, Ira. I totally forgot about asking them that with those.
They were going to get B's originally, but now everything is the way everything is rolled out. They get C-.
Right. All right. Let's get the final thoughts from Kelly. We'll go around the horn. Kelly, final thoughts on these two issues or anything.
I mean, I guess the thing is I should be shocked.
Yeah.
Yet somehow I am not surprised because this is what Marvel likes to do.
Yes.
To Spider-Man fans.
Yes. They pull the football, like George said. Totally.
Yeah.
That's the kind way of saying it.
Yeah. Peter, final thoughts on these two issues.
The first final thought for 74, 875 is dissatisfying.
Yes.
And I mean, they got the Peter and MJ characteristics, but it's not what we were looking for. Yep. It's not what we really wanted.
And it's not what Spencer wanted either.
Yeah, it's not what Spencer wanted either. They can deny that. And just like JMS, we'll hear about it 10 years from now. He'll speak up about it. Just like JMS spoke up
with us. I think that would be. I've been waiting to interview him for 3 years. Please come on, tell us your side.
And then for this issue, this could have been done with the Peter and MJ. They didn't have to go to Ben.
Yeah, no doubt. Neil, final thoughts.
ASM 875. What a load of crock. ASM number 75. I didn't hate it. I'm not interested, but it's more like I'm kind of wanting to see where this goes before I give like a total final judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it kind of I don't want to say it hooked me, but it kind of like, I'm kind of
makes me want to read more.
Let's see where this goes.
Yeah. JR, final thoughts.
Let's not get hung up on the fact that it didn't end the way we wanted it to end. Let's get hung up on the fact that it was bad storytelling and we weren't given what we paid for. I mean,
are you
that's
talking
how
about
Marvel
3 years, or are you talking about just that one book?
Well, ultimately now the whole 3 years, but primarily just this one book.
Yeah.
We didn't get what we paid for. We didn't get a story. Marvel refuses to actually tell good stories, it seems, with Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's true. On his last review show of his own resignation, not because I asked him or anything, in front of your mother, in front of us, his final thoughts.
Want to play Amazing Grace?
I am no. I am I don't know. I feel liberated because I do because I'm not in this abusive relationship anymore with Marvel Comics. I'm free. I'm done. I don't care anymore. Yeah. That's what this latest swerve has done to me. That's what the ending of the whole Kindred thing, and the way that they swerved and switch focus unexplainably from Peter and his soul to Harry, and made it all a big thing about that. And my final issue, or my final statement I would give to fans is, and I'll get the camera on this. Do you think Marvel respects you as a reader? You need to ask yourself that. Do you feel that Marvel Comics, Marvel Publishing, Marvel Entertainment respects you as a reader? If not, why do you keep buying their stuff? Why do you keep buying variants? Why do you keep selling out for stuff? Oh, well, maybe they'll fix it in 900. Maybe they'll fix it in 1,000. They're not ever going to fix it. They're going to keep stringing you along, hoping you buy variants, hoping you buy collectibles, while they keep disappointing you with horrible storytelling. And if that upsets you like me, break the cycle of violence, break the abuse, walk away from them.
Hornacek says George should pull a Jerry Maguire and say, I'm leaving. Who's coming with me? He asked if you are tired of having the football pulled from you and you're Charlie Brown, why do you keep playing ball with Lucy?
Yeah.
I almost feel like this should have ended. George Berryman, good day.
Good day. Yeah.
Good day.
Now, what does that mean for me on the show? I mean, it's up to Brad. Number one, I'll still come back every year for Spider Jeopardy.
Yeah.
This comes at a weird time because I just quit. We just quit doing
it's next month.
Well, that's true, right? Yeah. And then I still got to see the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I can still come on and talk about news because a lot of times the news doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in comics. But that's up to Brad. If Brad wants me to come back for like news or things like that, I'll come back for that, and then skip town, and they can bring somebody else in here who's reading this abuse. Because I'm just not willing to do it anymore.
Yeah.
If it's okay with you, George, can I be you during the review shows?
What do you mean? Can you be me?
Can I just be you? Just
the guy that hates
sharing
all
the truth. Sharing the truth about the Beyond stuff.
I mean, everyone should be like that, to be honest. I
won't smoke. I'm not going to take up smoking. I'm sorry.
I haven't. How long has it been since I've smoked?
Oh, wow. Here, Jeffrey has a question for George. George, 3 years ago, you told JR to take your Kirby hand and go on the Spencer run. Do you regret offering your hand to JR? This is good.
Oh man.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Come on, JR.
And I have thought about that, and yes, I have, and I do regret it, and I regret that that Marvel ruined all that after they had generated so much goodwill after that first issue, and that giant mea culpa letter that Nick Lowe wrote, which has now been replaced by, hey, I hope you like, rapey, child-eating story writing Zeb Wells. Because that's back, and so it did. I said, JR, let's just go with this. Let's see it. JR was cynical. JR was right to be, because we got a great, some great things were done during Spencer's run. They were. Him and Mary Jane got back together, which this book had sorely been missing. A lot of wrongs were righted, like Peter's doctorate, right? Yeah. And but it doesn't make up for how Marvel swerved us in the end, pulled the football away, and just expects us to say, oh, well, maybe in 900, maybe that's when it's coming. No, break the cycle, guys. Yeah. It's not happening. Walk away from it if it bugs you that much, like it does me. I swear to God, you'll feel better the next day.
Matt says, welcome to the club, George. Trust me, your wallet will thank you.
Yep.
Where can I buy a shirt that says JR was right? Patreon? No, I'm just kidding. I want a new segment on future Spider News episodes where the panel summarizes the recent issues for George and we get his reaction.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. We know what makes him mad. So are we gonna streamline the narrative to make it exactly the way he hates it, so he'll get the maddest we can possibly make him?
He doesn't care.
Here's
George
the thing.
Doesn't care.
I've stopped. That's the thing. I've stopped caring.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm out. Yeah, this is what Marvel's done. I've been a Spider-Man fan since 1975. I mean, I've stopped reading the book before. This isn't new.
It's true.
I stopped reading the book back during the Clone Saga because I was like, boy, is this shit. I'm out. And, and then I quit again after one more day. Now, the only issues there was a brief time on the site when I was trying to read like some of the issues after a while, and because they were on Marvel, I think on Unlimited at that time, and I was like, I'll go back and look at them, and I kind of reviewed them, but eventually they were so god awful I had to stop.
Yeah,
and then I hadn't read anything again until I read Omit because I was going to be a guest panelist during the reviews for Omit. Mm-hmm. And then when Brad brought me in as full time in 2011,
you bought a lot of bad slots. Yeah,
back when me and Bailey came on,
yeah,
permanent. I went back and I read a lot of back issues of Superior, so I could be ready. And I even said, like at the time, I was honest with that. I was like, actually, this is better than his Spider-Man work because he seems to get Otto. He seems to relate to Otto more than he does Peter.
It's true.
And then. Yeah, so I kept reading Slot because I was on the show. I mean, I used to say we read bad comics so you don't have to.
Truth,
right? And but now I'm not willing to say that anymore. I'm not willing to keep paying money to get abused by Marvel. I'm just not willing to do it. And either, honestly, all of you, and I'm not talking to the panelists. I'm talking to you out there in the crowd. Again, ask yourself: do you really want to keep contributing to that? Because, like I said, ask yourself one more time. Tonight, before you go to bed, look in the mirror. Does Marvel respect me as a reader? If not, why are you giving them money?
Yeah. Vinkman, thank you for the super chat. He says, after 3 years of Spencer, it feels like we're right back where we were before.
I don't think so.
I disagree, Vinkman. And the Sins Past is erased. Mary Jane and Peter are back together. Those are two big things that we didn't have at the end.
And the deck is actually more stacked against breaking them up than it was probably at the end of one more day, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, that is a wrap, everybody. We will be back. Let's take a 5-10 minute break. And
10 wouldn't suck.
Huh?
I said 10 minutes wouldn't suck.
10 minutes won't suck.
Yeah,
I agree.
I want to get some water.
Yeah, I want to get a drink. I want to make some snacks.
Yeah, 10 minutes. We will be back. We're going to do our news show, and then we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for listening. Be back in 10 minutes.